Hello, everyone. Hi, everybody. Let's give another applause to welcome you back to Coach's Corner. Welcome back to Coach's Corner. As a lot of people probably know, we have taken a little hiatus here, aligning our schedules to be back here to bring you some amazing value as always. And we're grateful for all the messages and people reaching out and also importantly, helping you with this knowledge. And it feels good to be back here at Coach's Corner. It's Lou and I, for today. Big shout out to Alicia and Paul. They'll be joining us in the future for other episodes. So today's episode, we'll hop right in a second here. But of course, anything speaks to you, you get motivated or inspired or receive some type of insightful awakening, if you will. Just reach out to one of us, drop a comment, message, or whatever, and see if we can help you with this type of knowledge. So we are continuing You² by Price Pritchard. And we will complete this book as well because it's packed with amazing material. So it feels strange because we've been gone for a while, almost, I believe, over a month. So, this is the first gap of time over, I think, close to 2 years being in Coach's Corner, which I'm very grateful for. So my name is Jamel Matias. I'm a certified mindset success coach / business consultant. My mentor is the legend Bob Proctor, as well as my peer here as well. My purpose is to reveal the hidden potential already within you and guide you to your truest desires. And I'm the founder of Believe in the Unseen Consulting. I'm based in the Maryland area, and I help hardworking but unfulfilled professionals who know they're capable of more. Yet they may feel stuck in a cycle of effort without progress, lacking clarity or direction, and the positive mental programming needed to create the income, the freedoms, and life they truly desire. And I help guide you to that. So I know that's a mouthful. I'll pass it on to my amazing colleague, Lou.
Thank you, Jamel, and it's so good to be back, back with everyone, but also back with my peers. And again, just like Jamel mentioned, Alicia and Paul will be joining us in the future. So, hello, everyone. My name is Lou Perica. I am a success mindset mentor and speaker, and I work with growth minded women who feel and know there's a knowing inside within them that there's more for them, whether that's more success, more fulfillment, more alignment in their life, but something just isn't fully clicking. And the women I speak to, they're doing all the right things, if you will, on the outside, but they're still not experiencing the results that they want. And that can leave anybody feeling frustrated or confused. And so, what I help them do is to understand what's actually driving their current results by how their thoughts, their feelings, their interpretations, and patterns are influencing everything. And once they start to see that, then things start to shift in a very real and lasting way. So we are excited again, once again, to be back. We are diving into You² by Price Pritchett. And this week, the chapter is choose a different set of risks. But I thought I would just give you a quick overview of some of the chapters that we've already covered. And you can always look back on previous recordings, excuse me, to catch up. But You² is basically a book or information about quantum leaps. And I think, Jamel, you might agree with this, that most of us have been conditioned and have a belief system that growth has to be done incrementally and also to be very logical in the steps that we take in trying to achieve our goals. So at U², it says that for us to stop assuming that significant growth has to come from more effort, more struggle, and more of what we've always done in the past. So some of the ideas that we've explored with Price Pritchett is one of the chapters was quit trying harder, and sometimes more effort applied to the same thinking simply gives us more of the same. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. Um, Change your personal rules for success. We all carry rules on what we think success is supposed to look like. But sometimes those rules can become limitations that we're trying to grow beyond. One of the other chapters was ignore conventional approaches. The way everyone else does something isn't necessarily the way you need to do it. So this is why we get these ideas, right? Jamel, I mean, you can relate to this. We're always getting new ideas, and sometimes we start to question them because, well, most people don't do things that way, but those new ideas are coming to you for a reason, for that idea to come into fulfillment, for that idea to be expressed. And that idea is using you as the expression. Ignore conventional approaches. Oh, I just covered that. Think beyond what common sense would allow. And if we only use our current circumstances and past experiences to determine what's possible, we limit the future before we've even created it. Rely on unseen forces. This is one of my favorites. And we had a great conversation around this one. And sometimes the people, the resources, and the ideas and opportunities aren't visible until after we've made the decision to move. So I just wanted to bring up some of the chapters to bring you up to speed. Jamel, did you want to add anything else? You want to go into today's?
Well, first, I want to do this. That was an amazing summary, Lou. That was fantastic. It really
Thank
was.
you. Thank
Thanks for, bringing everybody up to speed. Um, and if you missed, previous episodes of Coach's Corner and us talking about this specific book, go back and watch those replays. They are up on my YouTube. They should still be on LinkedIn, and also, Facebook gives you 30 days.
you.
So YouTube, that's the easiest way to go and look at all the replays of us going in great detail and great depth of each chapter and expressing our experience with it. And also on Lou as well. Lou's account. I think you're on YouTube, right, Lou? Is that YouTube?
So
Yeah.
I switched from Facebook. I was doing Facebook and LinkedIn, streaming live into those platforms. But so today I'm doing YouTube and LinkedIn, and then I will post the recordings on Facebook in my Facebook group.
Look at
I
that.
was told that it's better to do it that way. So I'm just,
Look at that. So you have an exclusive here, folks. So you can watch replays all over the place, right? So just go back and look in there. And thank you. I see somebody here got a new subscribe. Thank you. Hello. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate that. I really
and
do. And let this material really help you today. So, Lou, as you mentioned, all of that, what we covered, a lot of it has to do with letting go of the rational mind to me.
then,
It's screaming out saying, you've been stuck because you've been letting past conditioning keep you in your rational mind and not really allow yourself to tap into this abundance, which is what, quantum leaps are all about, tapping into your unlimited abundance. And when you say there's ideas and things people create, I did something very special here in Coach's Corner. It's very subtle too. For all my fans of Dragon Ball Z, this is my first Dragon Ball Z mug. Uh,
I don't know what that is.
I'll help you out there, Lou. Which is a long time favorite animation from Japan for over 30 years, probably longer. And I was watching some of it yesterday, and it's such a tremendous imagination. And this is an example, not only just this type of cartoon or animation. Look at all the beautiful Disney, cartoons and all these. There's so many that teach us some very profound um, stories, and also they're like hidden gems in these beautiful animations, especially the old school ones where I'm looking back at different things and I'm like, wow, um, I'm so shocked that I missed these stories as a child, but my awareness is different now, when you're looking back at it. So when you're really, really understanding the power of imagination, it's always there in front of you. It really is. And I don't want to go on a long tangent there. I want to get right into this chapter because imagination allows you to basically take risk because you have a desire and choose a different set of risks. This is so good how it's worded and
Mhm.
how it's expressed. Going for the quantum leap feels chancy. That word, chancy. Right.
Chance.
That word.
That's my granddog's name, Chance.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. So listen to this. The risk hit you as rather apparent and may be quite threatening, but you must stack them up against the hidden risk you accept when you decide to live with the status quo.
Mm,
And I say that to a lot of people that they're scared, but they desire more in their life. But the risk that you're taking is remaining where you are because you dig yourself in a trench and you don't even know you're there sometimes, but you desire more, right? And how do you get out of it? And that's what we're talking about here. Um, and you have to go towards the fear, right? You have to go towards the fear to experience the growth that you really want, the results that you really want. And I remember the article that Bob had us read, risk taking. Risk taking, it's essential to growth, right? So, and he says stack them up against a hidden risk you accept. So you're choosing to accept these hidden risks. You're choosing to remain where you are. Why continuously? 1 month, the next month turns into another year and another year. Why? It's because of the conditioning, and you're allowing fear to keep you where you are. And it says to live with the status quo. The opposite. Oh, here we go. Let me make sure I remember it. The um, the opposite of courage is not cowardice; it's conformity. So living with the status quo, right? That's you're conforming based on your environment. You're allowing your current circumstances and other people to dictate what you think and feel to be true. That's amazing. I say that because we're not aware that we do that. And I'm so glad I remembered that quote
mm.
properly.
You did a great job.
Lou, thank you.
Yeah, I love that. You bring up the word fear, and what Price Pritchett is talking about here. It's not being reckless or so impulsive, but to think. And when Jamel mentions fear, many people will not attempt to do something or try something new because of the fear. But fear is a very powerful emotion. It's a signal. But is it a fear that if I take another step closer off this cliff, I could die? That's one kind of fear, right? Where you know that if you were to do something, you could physically injure yourself or someone else or perhaps die. There's the other fear of things going wrong. Will I fail? Will I be ridiculed? Will I make a fool of myself? So those are the that's another kind of fear. It's the fear of what other people or yourself or past beliefs or current beliefs are holding you back. Again, the fear of falling and hurting yourself is a very different fear than taking a chance on your growth. And you can't escape risk and chance because life calls for risks and chances, because that's how life is always moving forward. It's always pulling us to grow. And in order to grow, there's some involvement of a risk or a chance. And without that risk or chance, if we don't have them presented to us, right, the risks and chance gives us the ability to think. It gives us, well, do I want to do this? How much do I want to do it? And from there, gives us the choice. Do I want to do it? And then from there, the the ability to make a decision. Yes, I am going to do that. No, I'm not going to do that. So risks and chances are really presenting a new idea, a new opportunity to experience. So they will always be present in our life. And many of us experience different opportunities or risks or chances. And I like to think of it like, well, that particular risk or chance was meant for me. Like you might get different risks and chances presented to you, Jamel, that they don't even come to me because they're not meant for me to carry them out or at least give it a shot. And the more we move on opportunities, what happens is you develop more confidence. When you decide to take a chance on you, you're not taking the risk on the risk, but you are betting on yourself to grow. And you may not even achieve the thing, for an example, but within you, you have grown. You've learned to now, well, I tried it. I went for it. Maybe it worked, maybe it didn't work. I don't know, right? But you've been growing all along. You've met new people. You've other resources that you may have never even considered before may have presented themselves to you. So when you start to think about fear, right? Because fear and growth go hand in hand. The reason we experience fear, and again, I'm not talking about falling off a building, I'm talking about the fear of growth, right? That's showing you're going out of your comfort zone. So it's simply a signal. It's just a signal to alert you you're doing something that you typically or normally do not do. But it's nothing to be fearful like you're going to fall off a cliff. It's that it's personal growth. You are stretching yourself. And that's why that fear is really conditioned fear. I think, Jamel, you had mentioned on one of our calls at one point how children, the fear that they're born with is from a loud noise or fear of falling. Those are instincts. It's part of them, right? But everything else is conditioned. It's conditioned thinking. Oh, don't do that. You'll hurt yourself. Watch out for that. Be careful. And the child starts to be conditioned not to trust itself, even though the parent or the adult may be doing something to prevent a future injury or something, right? Something happening. But what happens is the child within is starting to learn not to trust itself in many cases. Of course, we don't want them running out in traffic, et cetera, et cetera. But that fear and that doubt builds a pattern, builds a belief. And so this is what we're talking about with chances. It's what if you do? What if you do it? What would I gain from attempting to do this thing? What would I gain from it? And where might you be playing it safe, where you can be creating something fantastic to experience? So it comes down to really questioning yourself and questioning, what am I afraid of? And is it true? And does it really matter that much to you? So if you take a chance, take a risk, and the thought, notice the thought of failing, the thought of losing, the thought of all, being ridiculed or whatnot, that's all a mental game. But what would you gain? What would you gain from going after whatever you want to experience? That's the bigger question, right? So I just wanted to tap into that. What can you gain from taking a chance rather than the fear and the risks of what we mentally been thinking about, what we've been conditioned to believe.
I love that, Lou. You shared so many powerful words there.
Too much?
No, it can never be too much, right? We're here to serve.
Mm-hmm.
And, what can you gain, right? That's the perception. A lot of people's perception is, what am I going to lose,
Absolutely.
right? And we operate like that for a long time. And guess what? That's conditioning as well. Conditioning habit of thinking the negative rather than the positive.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, fear and faith both demand that you believe in something you can't see. You have the choice to choose. You have that ability, you have that gift, and choosing fear will give you more things to fear about. Choosing faith will give you more of things to choose for faith. And the interesting thing about it, the fear is guiding you. That's the trick.
Mm.
Fear is actually use it as a compass to go towards it. You're afraid to do it anyway. Because the essence of who you are is seeking fuller expression and expansion. So you're a spiritual being. We have an intellect and we live in a physical body. So spiritually, you want to grow. What is growing? Pretend this is a big old circle I'm drawing here on the screen, right? And you live in this circle. You're moving around thinking you're doing all these things. You're busy. You're in this circle. And anytime you step out of that circle, holy crap, I'm going back in that circle. That felt weird. I don't want to go out of this circle or bubble or whatever that helps you visualize it, right? If I had a prop, Alicia, send me your energy, and I imagine a big old, circle here, right? So every time you go out of it, you're stepping in the unknown territory, unknown, right? And it feels very naked, feels weird because you've never been there before. But it's interesting because I was just talking to my client. We're on lesson 10, and it said the leaders being properly led when they're being led from within. So you're being led with your desire, where you're going. This is why this chapter is important. Choose a different set of risk. Instead of risking being stuck, risking with inferior results and risking you never really growing to your full abundance in this time that we're here on this planet, right? So I forgot to mention we have like a global call here. Thanks. We got Vietnam in the house. Wow, amazing. And hey, Aaron, I see it. So thanks for joining us as well. Yeah, I think yeah, the greatest secret. I think that's what I quoted earlier. So
Oh,
thank
I
you for
love that.
those
The
that are
greatest.
here live. Yeah, and those that watch the replay. So yeah, I appreciate everybody that's here live and join us, right? And of course, drop some questions. You know, if you have any questions, what we're sharing here. So, and Lou, you mentioned something really powerful about how we have different fears,
Mm,
right? Lou has different fears than I do. I have different fears than she does. And Alicia and Paul and even Bob and Neville and we all why do we have fears? Right? Really ask that question. Why are we afraid? It's it's for us to grow. It's for us to tap into the unlimited potential that we have, right? And fear, we have to change our perception on it because what is it? False events appearing real, right? So it appears real to us. And fear can either make us move or keep us where we are. And majority of people I talk to, fear has been holding you back for years. Afraid to invest in yourself because you've been investing in other people's dreams for so long, you don't even see what you are. So he says here, you got to understand that you can never escape risk.
mm,
Never. As soon as you step foot outside your door, you're stepping into risk, my friend. When you go to sleep, when you wake up, there's always risk. So he says it's not something you can decide to live with or without. Something is always at stake. You can only decide which risk to take.
mm,
Guess what you're doing by not growing? You're deciding to remain taking a tremendous risk of lack. You're choosing lack. Fear, I keep seeing this diagram, the law of polarity. One side is faith, one is fear, right? And when you're choosing fear, you're choosing a lack mindset. What if this doesn't work? I've never done that before. That'll take too much time. So listen to this type of conditioning that you're choosing, right? You're still taking a risk. You can't avoid it. And he goes on to say, oh, here we go. Whether you choose to go for the quantum leap or to follow your usual routines, you are putting something on the line. So choose carefully and don't kid yourself with the idea that playing it safe, quote unquote, playing it safe by living with the status quo gives you the best odds. That may be the surest way of losing. He's getting strong here in that paragraph, right? So I'll pass it to you, Lou.
um, you were talking about a circle, and when you were talking about a circle, what came to my mind is, so our stick person, right? That I think Jamel would agree
Yeah.
is the best, right? It just brings clarity.
Mm-hmm.
So when I think about there's 8 billion of these stick people, which is you and I and everyone else, walking around on this earth. And within that stick person, just imagine there's a big circle. But depending on each individual circle, right? Some people may have a small circle, some a big circle. And within that circle is each individual's beliefs, patterns, habits, interpretations, stories. And when you can start, and this is why Jamel and I and Alicia and Paul are so very passionate about sharing this, is because it brings so much clarity and you learn to become an observer. You also take action, but you take action with more clarity, understanding that this is the human process. You're experiencing what it's like to be a human, even though we're a triune being, right? We're spirit, we have an intellect, and we have a physical body. We are three in one. And I like to use this phrase. I had company yesterday and we got into some deep conversations. It was so wonderful. It was so delicious. But um, when we say, I'm scared, uh, I may fail, whatever it may be, the two most powerful words in our vocabulary is I am. So I've learned, and I try to be mindful when I say, for an example, I am scared, for an example. What I may do, because that may be a first reaction, oh, I'm scared. Then I've learned to separate that emotion from my true spirit. So I've learned, what I say now is my human is scared. My human is worried. My human is doubtful, whatever it may be. My human, and there's this sense of separation, even though I know I'm all three, and it helps give me some clarity and separation from that emotion and understanding that that emotion that I may be feeling, whatever it is, doubt, worry, whatever it may be, I understand that that's a human experience. And I understand that there is a divine guidance within me that is observing the human experience. So I try to be mindful to separate myself and pull myself out of the emotion. Since you brought up fear, Jamil, right? I try to pull myself away from that I am fearful, rather than, oh, the human experience is experiencing this fear. That's an emotion that a human feels. Oh, okay. So now I can step back and approach the situation or the circumstances or the conditions with more clarity without that emotion. Does that make sense? Because when we get caught up in the emotion, we can't think clearly. And I say to my friends or clients, I say, fear and confusion sell. But when you have clarity and confidence, you're not an easy target. You can make clearer choices and decisions without getting caught up in the emotion. But the emotions are a guidance system. But again, if you can learn to separate your true self, and this is why I go, oh, my human, because when I say I am, right, that's undefined consciousness, right? I am that I am. So when I say I am defining myself as being fearful. But when I say my human is feeling fearful, I can still feel very empowered and understand this is just a human condition, a construct that I've been taught. I don't know if it's true. I don't know where I got it. I don't know where it originated, this thought of doubt or fear or all of that. I don't know. But I know it's prevalent and I know majority of people experience that. But I also know that I can override that, if you will. I can override that because I understand it's just part of the human experience. And I am a triune being. So that's a little deep, which I typically go. I go way out in the deep. The reason I like to express that is because I find it to be very helpful. Where I can, because when you say, I am sick, I am sad, I am worried, I am fearful, right? You're defining yourself, but you're not the emotion. Because when that, you know, sadness goes away, or that fear goes away, or the doubt goes away, you don't go with it. It's just an emotion that you're experiencing. So it's just like this wave going through you, but it's not who you are. It's just an emotion. So fear is just an emotion. And again, you can question it. Is this fear going to kill me? Is it going to injure me? Will it injure or harm anyone else? Or is it just a mental conditioned fear? And then we get the, most powerful gift is the gift of choice and free will and being able to make a decision, and the ball is in your court. So use that gift. You are being presented with something, whatever it is, whether it's a desire, that desire is meant for you to express itself through you, using you to bring this idea that no one can see or touch except for you into physical form, and it's going to use you. And if it's not, and if you don't fulfill that, if you don't carry it out, that's okay. Something else will come along. But that idea will manifest into physical form, whether it's through you, through me, or through someone else. But that idea is spiritual, it's divine, it will manifest. So, this is why when you get these ideas, oh, you're special. You're being called upon. That's how I like to look at it. I'm being called upon, but I get the power to choose or pass. And I know if I choose, I will be guided. But as we talked about, Jamel, we have to be emotionally connected to it. Because if we're not, it's just an idea. So this is why when you really fall in love with something, when you're very passionate about something, and it's on your mind all the time, and the emotions are stirring within you, it's meant for you to carry that out. So take a chance.
Wow. Wow, Lou. Wow. That is amazing. That truly is amazing. Thank you, Aaron, for tuning in. Appreciate your kind words. It says keep up the good works, my friends. Yeah, and thank you for all those tuning in and watching the replay. And let this be, motivation for you and inspiration to know that you are being guided, right? You didn't stumble upon us on accident, or this type of knowledge on accident. The
Mhm.
essence of who you are, your energy, your spirit is seeking growth, change in your life. And that's exactly what we're very passionate about, helping you with. Um, so Lou like dropped the mic there because there's so much shared there. And what speaks to me a lot was you know, your thoughts. Whatever
Mhm.
you believe to be true, that's your truth. If you believe you can't, you're right. If you believe you can, you're right. So this is why you got to be very mindful of your thoughts. Your thoughts thoughts become things, especially repeated thoughts, consistent thoughts. And this is why you got to be very aware of the energy that you emphasize in your own mind. And Lou mentioned feelings or emotions. And I love how you said they're they come and go, right?
Mhm.
And sometimes they may stay around a little longer, but it's so visual what you said. There was a meditation that I was doing, meditation practice. And by the way, I just passed 2,500 days in a row of meditation. It was a big milestone for me. Let me clap for myself.
500?
Yeah, I've been meditating a long time, Lou. Thank
Wow.
you. So, yeah, what one of my meditation teachers mentions is thoughts and emotions or feelings are like waves that express themselves and go back to the source of the ocean. It goes back to where it came from. So these feelings that you have, they come and go, but they'll always tell you what you're thinking. You'll
Mhm,
feel based on what you're thinking. And thinking is basically just pure, unadulterated energy, just pure energy, and we're shifting it. And when you're afraid to do something, you're choosing what to do with that energy.
mhm,
You're choosing it. But sometimes you're unconscious of that. You don't know that you're choosing, right? It just happens. Now, let this kind of wake you up that you are choosing what to do with this thought energy. And when you do that, you're also choosing your feelings. And as you're choosing your feelings, you're actually choosing your future and what comes around in your life. So it's all connected. The outside is a reflection of the inside. It's never separate from you. This is why when Lou said we have different fears, we all have different desires. We all want to go in different places and experience different things. Money, success, business, time, quality time, family, home, whatever, right? We all have these desires to face certain things to grow into these results, right? So they're talking about choosing a different set of risks. And he mentions quantum leaps do mean that to some degree, you must move beyond the zone of familiarity, security, and comfort. So you have to move beyond where you've been. It's very comfortable sitting in a chair that you sat in this chair for so long. This is a very comfortable chair, right? Imagine, getting out of an environment you've never been before, right? Maybe I go to a coffee shop downtown that I've never been before, just set up my stuff and start talking on camera. It may be a little uncomfortable for me and have people listening to me in that environment. They're like, what is this guy talking about? Right? That may be a little uncomfortable for me, right? Or maybe I don't know, put on a Michael Jackson jacket and start moonwalking while I'm talking about quantum leaps. That's uncomfortable because, you have people looking at you and stuff, and they're like, what is he talking about? So it's a very weird example, but you get the point, right? So he says, but you can make the jump to You² without being reckless or impulsive. So you can make the jump without being reckless. And it starts with belief. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. So what beliefs are you conceiving in your mind? And that's, the stick person there. Like, what dreams are you building in your conscious mind? And it's very challenging because we have so much noise. I don't know about everyone watching here. There's so much noise happening in our minds. And if you're not aware of it, it's difficult to focus on where you're going in your life. So, and this is what will guide you out of this comfort zone. And you don't have to be reckless, right? So he goes on to say, frankly, making a quantum leap is not mere gambling. It's not a crapshoot. You simply move on an opportunity you've been ignoring. Huge. So we have opportunities that come to us all the time, and some that revisit us over and over and over. Guess what? We don't take any action towards it. We ignore it. Why? Why do we do that? Why do we ignore these things?
mm.
Because we're choosing. We're choosing to ignore them. And you want to remain in that comfort zone, in that circle, because that opportunity is a little bit outside that circle. So, and then he says, you abandon your excuses. Oh, yeah. Now I'm getting excited again. You abandon your excuses. You know how many excuses I hear? And this is always coming from love, a place of love. Even myself,
Mhm.
I would try to convince myself for not doing certain things or being something, right? From a certain state. And here comes the excuses to justify your limiting beliefs and your limiting behavior, to justify this past self. Abandon your excuses. We should have titled this one Abandon Your Excuses, because the excuses, they keep you where you don't want to be anymore. And speaking of, excuses, don't let this call just go in one ear and out the other. Reach out to us because we want to definitely help you with this material outside of this comfort zone you've been stuck in. You have to really, really reevaluate your beliefs and shake this paradigm. We haven't said that today. Well, create a paradigm, that moves you towards what you want. So I'll stop there because, just one sentence, you can talk for an hour, right?
So, Jamel, I wanted to, so as you were talking, right? So getting out of that comfort zone, getting out of that sense of security, familiarity. And I was thinking about, so you just went to Japan,
Yeah.
right? Now, while you're there, you don't speak the language. It's a very different culture, the time difference, the expense, et cetera, et cetera. But isn't that where the adventure of life begins? Outside the comfort zone, saying yes to an opportunity. Even though you don't have all the answers, you may not know all the end results, but you just said, let's do it. Let's go for it, right? And the interesting, even though you're in a different country, even though the people may look different, they live different, they eat different foods, etc., there's still that common denominator that we're all the stick person. Doesn't matter. We all have feelings, we all think, we all define things. We all express ourselves, show up through our behavior, etc., our attitude. So it doesn't matter where you are. We all operate really the same way. So that was because you took that chance, if you will, you got to experience what it was like to be in Japan. My friend, she just recently debuted her first single. It's called Another Day. And she wrote this song, I believe it was either, yeah, like 25 years ago or over 25 years ago. And her son encouraged her to put this song out as a single or whatever. And he and his band played the instruments, da 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 da. They set everything up. So this is something that she's been wanting to do, or who knows if she really wanted to, because if she really wanted to, she would have, but it was simmering kind of in the back of her mind all these years, right? And she raised her kids and, had her careers, et cetera, et cetera. So there was a lot of stuff going on. And yet this song, 25 years later, came into, if you will, physical form. But she took a chance. This was, she's that much older. We have social media now. So you're putting yourself out there. And she took a chance. And I'm so happy for her and so proud of her. I had company yesterday, and they have two daughters. they were showing me a video of they recently went to Portugal, and the two daughters had the opportunity to jump off a cliff, not super, super steep, but they're 13 and 11, and into the water. And people were doing it. So the older daughter did it, and they were showing the video of the younger daughter. And the younger daughter kept walking towards the edge, and you could feel the hesitation. She walked towards the edge, and you can imagine what's going on through her mind. And then she stepped back. And she did this kind of dance, if you will, several times. Then she just did it. She did it because she saw her older sister did it. There were people that went before her that were in the water saying, we're here for you. And she took the chance. So when she finally went, oh, it's all on video. And I was so happy for her. You could see it. Again, she's, I think, 11 years old, 10 or 11. She just ran and she jumped into the water and she did it. Oh my gosh, I was so happy. So that's an experience that she can say, I did that. Instead of, well, I almost did it. I was thinking about it. But that opportunity, she was in Portugal. They were along the coastline. The water was magnificent. Other people were doing it. So she saw that it was safe to do. Other people were doing it, that she would be okay. Her older sister did it. And because she took the chance, she now can say, I did that. I did that. My friend, I did it, singing the song. I have another friend who's in her 60s, mid 60s. She still continues to learn and go to school for her culinary skills. She's still doing it. When I get up on stage, I still, I sometimes but I get up there and I feel so alive. But I have to get out of my comfort zone to do that. But I know I'm just going to give it my all, right? And I get to experience that, right? So this is what we're talking about. This, U² is about quantum leaps, and meaning they are possible. Quantum leaps are possible. Most do 5%, 10%, maybe a crazy 20% because it's familiar. And that's what we can say most do. And sometimes you may have to start off that way until you start to build trust, until you start to build confidence, and still until you start to build that knowingness that others have created quantum leaps. So the possibility is there. It's waiting for us to say yes. It's just waiting because the potential and the possibility is there, right? So I just wanted to give those couple examples. Again, I was watching that video yesterday, and the hesitation. She was walking, she'd look, then she walked back, and she did this about maybe 5 or 6 times. And then when she finally went for it, oh my gosh, it was quite amazing, right? So life is always calling for us to experience life, experience it. Get out of our backyard, go experience another neighborhood, another country, a different type of food, a different type of career, a different relationship. Do something that you've never done before. That gives life new meaning. And it makes it really, I think the the more chances we take with opportunities, again, not something, you know, that could harm us or harm someone else, but it just makes life so much more fulfilling and so much more richer when you can look back and say, yeah, I climbed that. Yeah, I jumped that. Yeah, I went from $200 to 200 million. Yeah, I did that. It just makes life so much more fun because even though we may be here for quite some time, we don't know how long, but really it's quite short when you think about it, with all the opportunities and possibilities that are presented to us.
Wow, that is so good. That's amazing. You know, as you're speaking about that, um, I look back on my life and I've been a natural born risk taker. We all are, right? As babies, as Bob, brought to our attention. Our as babies, our first thing is to breathe, right? And then to move or stand. We start crawling around, bumping into everything, and then we want to stand holding ourselves up. We plop down right on our diaper and get back up or whatever. And then we want to walk and we're bumping into everything and, etc. But we're natural born risk takers. So we're born taking risks. And then we stop at some point, right? And as Lou shared those beautiful examples, taking risks is necessary for growth because your memory, which is a intellectual faculty, you'll remember the feeling of accomplishing
Mm.
whatever it is that you were afraid to do. Jumping off a diving board, a cliff, whatever. It doesn't have to be those examples. Some type of business investment, whatever. Writing a book, getting on stage, doing these things your spirit always wanted to do, and you did it. That shifts everything on a molecular level in your body, and also the unseen part of it as well. You'll remember what you're capable of. And that's a big thing right there. The more risks you take, notice you're growing. Of
Mhm.
course, there'll be some things you may not achieve at that moment, but you did it. You put your best foot forward, and you'll do it again because you know it's on the other side. So, and I was also thinking about Japan. There's so many stories. I can do so many episodes. But it was like 2 weeks there in Japan. I'd never been to Japan before, and we took Tokyo downtown train system. Had no idea what we were doing. And the funny thing is, you know, my wife is like, "We're going to Japan. Sign me up." Right? So there's my risk taking, right? I don't care. I'm going. And I always have this faith in knowing I'm being guided by spirit. I have a strong
Mhm.
belief of
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
So going to Japan, not knowing, and the funny thing is, my wife always wants to send me an itinerary. And then she watches this, she'll laugh. But I don't want to look at it. I want to wake up and not know, like, just tell me in the morning what we're doing, where we're going. Oh, great. Right? That's a part of my risk taking. Now that Lou brings that to my attention. So, and my wife is more of a planner. She likes to make sure, which is, there's a balance to it all, right?
Mhm.
Because you've got to know how hot it's going to be, walking shoes, what to wear, etc. So, the point I'm making here is risk taking is essential to your desire, right? And something very powerful he mentions here, a quantum leap is risking in a way that unmasks the truth, revealing how the only thing of significance that has been standing in the way is you.
Damn you.
So we're the only problem and the only solution when
Mhm.
it comes to a quantum leap, right? And this episode is helping you understand the importance of risk, You have to take risks to grow. And you're taking risk anyway. Why not take one that'll move you to something that you want?
Mm-hmm.
And it says risk in believing in yourself. Risk believing in yourself. Risk acting on the assumption that you can succeed in making a quantum leap. Otherwise, the risk is that you will settle for only a fraction of what life has to give you. That is a massive section there. Risk believing in yourself. Take that risk. Because if you don't believe in yourself, who else will? Right? It starts with you. Risk acting on the assumption that you can succeed in making a quantum leap. Assume you can. That's something to put some energy into.
Mm-hmm.
So, speaking of quantum leaps, any type of improvement or growth, we're here for you. We're here to support you and guide you and help unlearn a lot of this limiting stuff that's keeping you where you are. All these fears that hold you back from your greatness. Lou, you want to share anything before we end today?
Uh, no, I think it was a great call. And just remember, sometimes it's not just the results that you get, but it's who you discover yourself to be. I just wanted to end with that.
All right. And of course, on whatever platform you're watching this, you see our links there to set up a call and talk to us. A no obligation call just to see if we can help you with this. And feel free to drop comments, likes, etc. And may this particular session, it's been a pleasure sharing this with you, with my colleague Lou. And hopefully this session just kind of woke you up a little bit about quantum leaps and fear and about your true self, the essence of who you are. So make a decision. Don't worry, we won't bite. All right? Maybe your paradigm. Bye, everyone. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.